What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon466cards, and today we're going to talk about silver prisms in Prizm Basketball and trying to estimate the print runs. Obviously, silver prisms are one of the key parallels in Prizm Basketball, and it have been since almost their inception. And the real interesting part is nobody knows the print runs, right? They're not numbered cards, and so I thought I would take a mathematical approach to estimate what those print runs are. Unlike some of the other cards that exist, like tops, where they show you the odds of hitting certain parallels, you can back calculate or reverse engineer those numbers. They don't do that for Prizm and Panini products at all, and hopefully that's something that tops will change once they enter the picture. But until then, there's only the data that we have available to us via pop counts in PSA and BGS grading reports that can help us figure out what those print runs are. So I'm going to walk you through the methodology here, and then I'll show you what I found. The one thing you'll note is I grabbed this data from August 2022. So this data is about 6 months old or so. I don't think it will materially change their results. You'll see why. And the model does account for regrading and that type of thing. So I don't think the numbers would change that much, but more importantly than that, it's about the overall trend and magnitude of the numbers. As you'll see, if the numbers are off by like 5 or 10%, it really doesn't change the story here. So let's start with the model. You'll see here on the screen, I've got a bunch of cards and their pop counts in both PSA and BGSs for their serial numbered parallels. Why that's important is we know the print runs for those, right? They specifically tell us the light blues for 2013 are out of 199, oranges out of 60 for these Giannis cards, and then for Embiid's and Zach LaVine's blues, they're out of 99. The oranges are out of 139. Jokic, Booker, and Towns are out of 65 for oranges, and light blues are out of 199. Why is that important? These are the key rookies and the key cards from each set, right? And so if you look at, let's say, this Giannis light blue, there are 159 in the pop report. There are 199 total, so we know roughly that there's 25% left to open. And so that basically says that 25%, like rough estimate, obviously, 25% of the wax based off of the light blues is unopened, which means that there are roughly 25% more cards to be opened, right? Now, the one thing we have to account for is a regrade, because obviously people are cracking, 8s and 9s to get 9s and 10s or 9.5s or what have you, right? So we'd make a standard assumption of about 12 or 10 to 15%, depending on the set, to juice that number up and account for it. So basically we're saying at this point for this Giannis light blue, there is 25% of cards that are unopened, as looking at the light blue pop counts for this Giannis card, because the idea is that if you get an insert like this, you will definitely send it to PSA or BGS to get it graded, because that'll increase the value. And then we assume a 15% regrade, which basically means this 1.25% you have to increase it by 15%. This 1.25 multiplier you have to increase by 15% to account for that amount being regraded. Now, what do we do? What do we do here? So on the silver side, we're done now with the numbered parallels. We look again at the PSA and BGS pop reports. We say there's 170 here, there's 209 for Giannis, so that means there's 379 in the pop count. You then juice that number up again by a regrade percentage. So that 379, you add 15% to it, that gives you a number, I'm going to ballpark it around 400 something or so. Then what you do is you take that number, whatever you get out of here, and then you multiply it by the amount that is unopened, right? So this here is about 25%, and that's what gets you to 474. There's an actual Excel behind it. Obviously, this is just an image here, but that is the general gist of it. And so We do that for all of the numbered parallels. I stick to the parallels that are a little bit larger, right around the 60 to 200 to 300 range, because once you get too low, like, you know, like something that's like a Mojo or whatever that's out of 25, a gold that's out of 10, it's just too small of a sample size. You want something a little bit bigger and a little bit more mainstream. So I generally try to stick to the true colors, and because I think that'll give me the best idea of how many there are out there. And so we do that for this. We do that same exercise for all these cards. I won't walk you through all of them. I just use the light blue as an example. The one thing I'll point out is something like the Giannis orange, and we'll see more of this phenomenon as we get to the next page here. You'll see that the multiplier or the ratio is 0.86, which is a result of the PSA and the BGS pop count of 70 being higher than the serial number of 60. We know that can't be possible. That's due to more cards being regraded, right? So as a result of cases like that, we add in a higher regrade number. So in here it's 30%, as to here it's being a little bit of a lower number. And so when you run that through the data, that actually gives you a lower pop count of 394. And so the reason why I want to do or use multiple cards for this is to give us a range, right? So Giannis is obviously the key rookie in 2013. 2014, obviously the best player in this class now is Embiid, but back in the day, he missed the first 2 years of his career, basically. He sat them out. So his cards are actually less likely to have been graded because some people probably in 2015, 2016, it's like, this guy's not playing. Like, why am I keeping his cards? Why would I grade them? And that's how cards get destroyed, they go missing, etc., etc. They lose, they get tossed around because nobody cares about their condition. So that's what we did for 2014, is looking at Embiid, Levine, Wiggins, and I threw in LeBron in there just because he's LeBron. And we look at the blue and the oranges for 2015. We look at oranges and light blues for Jokic, Booker, and Towns. And so you can see the general numbers here. You know, they're going from 400 to 500, and now you get to 2015, they're going up to 1,000. And I'll show a chart and a graph that will explain this and show this a little bit better. As we move into 2016, we then have the blue wave out of 99, and I look at Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, and Jamal Murray, and same methodology. You could see the ratios here are looking normal. The regrade percentages, assumptions I use are pretty normal. 2017 is when things start getting a little bit wonky. You can see here the Donovan Mitchell blue ice out of 99, 124 in the PSA and BGS pop counts. Obviously, there's only 99 of those, so the regrade percentage is going to be way higher, right? 35% is what I'm assuming here. But you can see just from the PSA and BGS pop counts alone, the numbers are much higher, right? So as a result, that means the print estimates are going to be much higher after account for the unopened wax. And then as you get into 2018 with Trey and Luka, look at the true reds and true blues. Again, you know, there's 202 PSA and BGS cards in their pop counts for a parallel that's out of 199. So obviously the regrade number needs to be a little bit higher. And same thing for the Lukas, blue and reds, we're going to assume a 25%. And then same thing here with Zion and Ja, the blues, again, 200 plus cards in a card that's out of 199. So more importantly, though, you could see the PSA and BGS pop counts are ballooning over time, right? If we look at the previous slides, you could see their pop counts are in the 200, 300, 700 in 2015, and they start ballooning to 6,000, 7,000, 7,000, 6,000, just from the pop counts, not accounting for the unopened wax. And once you do that, once you account for the unopened wax, you're getting to much higher numbers here. And so that is basically the model, right? And what does that lead to? That leads to these estimates. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, I am on Instagram at Simon466cards, the same handle. I did this in about August of 2022. And I just reused the numbers because I don't think updating them would have made a material difference. And honestly, I just didn't want to do the work. So you can follow me on Instagram there if you want to see stuff like that. But you can see here, big difference over time. 2013, 2014, pretty low. You get to 2017, okay, the print run estimates are getting pretty high. It's over 2K. And then now we're probably above 10K if we're looking at 2019 and beyond. And I have no reason to believe that 2020 the numbers have gone down. I would assume that they've gone up as well. So what's this all mean in the big picture? It's that honestly, any Silver Prisms from 2018 onwards, they're not a rare card. Not a rare card at all. And that's why I personally will never buy or trade for a Silver Prism that is from 2018 or beyond, because I just think that there's too many of them and that they will their prices are too high. Whatever the number is right now, the prices are too high and that they're going to go down. And so that's the main takeaway here. So I would love to hear your comments. What do you think about this model and this approach? When I first did this on Instagram, actually, I knew that, or I thought that this would be a much easier model to explain via a YouTube video versus an Instagram post. And that's actually one of the reasons why I created my channel, is to be able to explain models like this. It's obviously a lot more intuitive when there's someone voicing over what exactly the thinking was behind the model. So I would love to get your thoughts on what you think about this model. If there's something I'm missing, I'm not saying by any means that this model is perfect, but I think that the general approach is sound. And so if the numbers are off for whatever reason, they're off for all the years in a similar way. And so the magnitudes themselves are what's important as opposed to the actual numbers. You know, I might be off by a few hundred, one or 2,000 in 2018, 2019, but the overall message is the same, right? The overall trend is the same. So that's it for this week. I will say, in terms of comments and suggestions, I would love to know if there are any other sets that you want me to look at and can apply the same model to. I'd be happy to do that, and happy to take ideas and suggestions. The one you don't need to suggest for me is Prizm Football, because, and I'm going to jump to that in a little bit, that last slide there. I'll be doing that next week, so I'll be doing the exact same thing for Prizm Football. And again, I had done this in August of 2019, or 2022. And so I'll be just explaining that model. It's the exact same approach, spoiler alert. But if you are interested in seeing what those numbers look like, feel free to subscribe to my channel, hit that subscribe button, and that'll be the next video coming up. One last thing is just showing the number of cards where the pop counts exceed the actual serial number. You can see it only happened once. It was for the Giannis Orange, but as soon as we hit 2017, 18, and 19, it started happening a lot more. So I think that's just, I think that was just interesting. So something I thought I had put together here. That's it for the video. Hope you found this interesting and insightful. And like I said, next week we're going to talk about Prizm Football and running the same model. So thanks for listening and watching, and I'll see you then. Cheers.